Waiting for the sound.
Yes, we're waiting for the sound.
It's a pain in the ass. Isn't there a better way to do it?
Yeah, we could just do some ads, some commercials.
No, I mean a better way to get sound.
Not that I know of. If I did, I would
fix it. Sometimes it comes on right away. Other times you got to wait, like today.
It just barely started. I started at 8:58, so we could get going. It's already there. The sound is there.
Sound is there?
Yes.
The sound is good. And good morning, everybody. Good morning. Sound is good. And we are told the sound is good by a special person. Ladies and gentlemen, will you all rise and wish James Caplion, however
happy birthday.
Happy birthday to the man who has supported me more than I can even ask for. So here's a guy who comes to the shows. He calls me. He compliments me. He tells me what I'm doing wrong. I love you, man. Happy birthday. Wish him all. Let's wish him all a happy birthday. James Caplion, one of these days I'll learn how to pronounce your name. Okay, Daniel Ferrara is here. Mal Pal is here from the great state of San Diego. Rotorius, and we have a couple of guests. And guests, when you log in, we'd like to see you log in with your name. Okay, it doesn't take much to go up and log in, and it's free. Free. It doesn't cost anything. It's amazing, Andy, that sites that charge people log in. We don't charge anybody. All we do is ask them to log in.
They do.
And most of them don't. Boston Paul is here. Good morning to Boston Paul. Daniel Ferrara has made it in. Andy, what's going on?
Rotorius put up his article that he said you let him write for the website back in 2017.
That's correct.
And by the way, it was a good article, and Rotorius can write anytime he wants. We just don't get a lot of traction. People really don't come here to read too much. But
well, if you want to make some changes, anybody in the chat room have an idea to make some changes? We could add articles if we get people to write. We could, Chris Gallo is here. We could do a lot of things. Big Al on the prowl, but we need your help. We need your assistance.
Okay.
Let us know what you think we could do to make it better, including the podcast. Leonard Donaldson is here, and away we go.
Okay, you want to know my input on this?
Yes.
The website is fine, just the way it is. That's what people like, the podcast. We've tried everything. We tried to get a bunch of people to do podcasts. It was just a nightmare. We've had people write articles. We've had contributors. We've had correspondents. And honestly, the best thing is just we built this site for you to be able to do your podcast with no commercials. And that's what we do. And we do a good job. Even though it's been very trying over the last week or so. The website has been giving us fits of trouble. And it's very intimidating. So
we thank you all. And let's begin by... I'm going to ask a question to the chat room. Okay, let's start it off big. How about that? We're all athletic supporters. Chris Gallo, you hit it right on the head.
Jenny Kavnar is their new head play-by-play lady. Okay, now you want to talk about women succeeding in sports? This is a woman who worked her way up with hard work and dedication, and she has mastered her expertise, and big deal if it's a crappy team. It's a wonderful woman in charge that got there through hard work and merits, okay? So that's what we look for when we say a successful woman. Not just because she's a woman she got it. It's because she worked her ass off and she put a big red finger up to the haters.
That's right. Now, I listen to her. I listen to sports talk shows every night, and I love it when she's on because she's got a great voice. So all you people looking to be a sportscaster or whatever, understand one thing. The most important thing in broadcasting is your sound. That's the most important. Everything else comes second. But she's got a great sound, and we wish her great success. Now, the question is to the chat room, and I'd love to hear your answers. It may take a little while. You may have to think about this. Malpal is going to think about it. I know that. who is the most disrespected star in baseball? Okay? Who is the most disrespect? Who doesn't get the credit for what he's done? Who is a big-time star? Anthony Miller is one of those, all right? Who's the big-time star? Laura is here. Who doesn't get enough credit? Okay, I'd love to hear I have an answer to that, but I'd love to hear who's crying. What's the matter? I'd love to hear what the chat room has to say about Methical is here. Unbelievable, okay? So who's the big-time star who's not getting the credit that he deserves, okay? Who says there's no crying in baseball? The no crying in baseball, I remember when I was in 3rd grade or 4th grade, and Bruce Levin came in to class to tell me that the Dodgers made a trade, and they traded Jackie Robinson, and they traded a whole bunch of players and I went to the back of the room to cry, and I didn't want anybody to see me. So that's the first time, and there's been crying. Are you kidding me? There's no crying in baseball. The passion that people have for their home team is incredible, right, Andy?
Did we talk about Lindor yet?
No!
I'm not listening to you.
Triple play. Eddie Caprio has made his appearance from the great state of Florida. So Chas McCormick is one guy by Rotorius, but I'm saying who's the star? McCormick's not he's a nice player, but he's not a star. Andy gave it away. To me, Francisco Lindor just does not get the credit to be the star that he is. I mean, as a shortstop, look, you got Bobby Witt, you got, who else you got? You got Mookie Betts, you got Trey Turner, and those guys have good numbers. But their numbers are not much better than Francisco Lindor. I mean, they each...
Well, if you look at the rankings, you see Francisco Lindor is the 4th best shortstop, and that is a crying shame. But I'll tell you what, we have a lot of people in the fantasy world crying about Lindor being ADP 25 because he is disrespected in fantasy. So that's what we're here for. We talk about fantasy. Francisco Lindor going at ADP 25, I'm saying it's a steal, right? Because if you look at his numbers and what he did last year, it's crazy. It's first-round numbers, no doubt about it. 30 steals, 30 homers, 108 runs, 98 RBIs. His batting average is not going to hurt you, but that is the one area that he does not provide excellent stats. So if you're drafting and you see Francisco Lindor going at 25, he's probably the only player that I would make a consideration for a middle infielder that early, because I'll tell you what, the middle infield position is deep as it has ever been. And with Lindor going at 25 overall, I'm in on that. I'll do it.
Well, anyway, I agree. Lindor deserves much more credit than he's getting. And what we're doing here every day is we're giving you a chance to understand about all the players in baseball. Because when spring training rolls around, there may be some names, and we'll talk about some of these names. I mean, we're going to talk about Zach Davies next. Now, who is Zach Davies? But if he has a good spring, I want we prepare everybody as best as we can. And I want to know who Zach Davies is so we don't spend a lot of time. But I'm telling you, spring training is a big deal. It'll propel a $1 player up to $10. But you got to know who they are. What do you think of Zach Davies?
Let's talk about Austin Riley real quick.
Okay. Austin Riley. Okay, go ahead.
Because we're looking in the chat room right now. We're talking about people who are not getting their just deserves, and Austin Riley's another guy going at ADP 21, but his position is third base, which is different for me. I love Austin Riley at 21. I'll draft him and Lindor, and I'll have the best infield in fantasy. His batting average last year was 281. He hit 37 homers, 97 RBIs, 117 runs, so he doesn't really provide much in the way of stolen bases, but Austin Riley is a steal, just like Lindor. Now we're talking about Randall Grichuk. Did you talk about him?
No, I didn't talk about Grichuk. I was thinking I got it mixed up with Riley Green. But Austin Riley, I mean, the pop that he has came as a bit of a surprise. We knew he was a bit of a surprise. Not a giant surprise. I mean, he's there, and he's playing third base. Arcia's the shortstop. Ozzie Albies at second. Matt Olson. Are you kidding me? This Atlanta team is loaded. And they got Jared Kelenic, who we'll talk about. He's going to play, and they're talking about playing him every single day. The only thing, the big thing for the Atlanta Braves this year, and I want to know what you think, is Chris Sale. Is Chris Sale going to be the same Chris Sale that he was, or will Chris Sale be just a great name to have and not be very effective? What do you think?
They say that Chris Sale is fitting in real good over there. He's a lefty, and Max Fried and him are the only two lefties in the Braves rotation. I do want to get back to the fact that Arizona Diamondbacks signed Randall Grichuk.
Okay.
I
like Grichuk. Last year, by the way, I took him in a not a free agent pool at the end of the draft, and I bid more money than I should, and
your money, right?
All my money. I needed one player, and
that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, to his potential. Filled my needs, and anytime you draft or you look for a player, it's about your needs. Don't worry about how good. Do you need a player who can hit you 30 home runs? Well, I needed Randall Grichuk.
Okay, did he do that for you? Last year he did come through with 16 homers, but I'll tell you one thing. Randall Grichuk is not going to get an opportunity to play every day, and he's not being drafted like he is going to play every day either. So, I mean, he plays all three outfield positions.
For Arizona,
they do need, they need some oomph in their lineup, but he's 33 years old, and we'll see what happens with that. He doesn't have a starting spot. So you talk about Zach Davies to the Nationals. It's a minor league deal with an invite to camp.
Right.
Let's talk about South.
Hold on a second. Zach Davies, he's got a lot to beat out also. Lourdes Gurriel, Alec Thomas, who's a lefty, Corbin Carroll, Jock Peterson.
You're talking about Grichuk?
I'm talking about Grichuk. He's buried.
Yes,
absolutely buried. So I wouldn't think.
Now he does hit lefties good, but so does Corbin Carroll, and you don't have to worry about him losing time. But Grichuk can hit lefties. So Sal Frelick has been learning to play the infield, and James Kay will know a lot about this as the Brewers. Right. They signed Churio, to an extension before he ever even made his debut, which was in December. I mean, no, he hasn't made his debut yet. They signed him to an extension in December. Yeah. But they have a logjam in the outfield, so they're moving Sal Frelick. I know James Kay is not as high on Sal Frelick as he thinks that I am. I happen to have this guy in one of my only leagues as a keeper. So I kind of have to be rooting for him, okay? So I'm always trying to find something good about him. He only strikes out 16% of the time, and he walks 12.6% of the time. He also plays great defense. So here's the thing. He's not going to be flashy with the home runs. He's not going to be flashy. He will get double-digit steals, and his batting average is good. But the best quality about him is that he could be at the top of the order, and he gets on base, and he has good plate discipline. Other than that, he's not going to start the season qualified anywhere except for the outfield. So if you do draft him, you're stuck with him as an outfielder until he gets a few times at second base. But it does look like they're trying to work him in Is it second base
I
or
think
infield?
Third base.
Third base. Just
Third base.
infield
and they
in
got
general.
rid of Tyrone Taylor and Adrian Hauser, but they still Christian Yelich, Garrett Mitchell, Joey Weimer, Sal Frelick, Blake Perkins. Wow, all of them are in the mix for the outfield, and spring training is going to really settle who gets the playing time, right?
So John Schneider, talks about the Ricky Tiedemann's projected workload in 2024, He hasn't pitched very much, and he's not even on the Blue Jays 40-man roster. He was limited to just 44 innings last year because he's had bicep injuries, but in that 44 innings, he struck out 82 batters, This guy strikes out a ton, but he also knows that he is absolutely on a limited workload is what they call it, a limited workload. Now, a lot of people think that he's a real good prospect, top 30 as a matter of fact. They're comparing him to guys like other prospects like Andrew Painter, Kyle Harrison of the Giants. And I mean, you look at some of these beat writers and what they're saying about this Tiedemann, that he's considered by many in the USA to be the greatest pitching prospect ever. I mean, come on. Have we heard this one before, Leonard?
Yes, we
Every
have.
year, do we?
But he comes in weighing about 250 pounds. He added about 20 pounds of muscle. I got on
He
the...
entered the
Wait a
ring
second.
at 225 pounds.
I got on the scale this morning because I'm trying to lose weight. And I found out I gained 1 pound of muscle. All right? So
Tim McLeod likes Tiedemann,
Yeah,
the
Tiedemann?
365.
Right.
Baseball 365 guys love him.
He isn't on the Blue Jays 40-man roster yet, but look, I'll tell you what. He was limited to just 44 innings last year.
It looks like James K says they need Sal Frelick at third base.
Third base, that's what I said, third base. All right?
Now let's move on to Christopher
Hold
Morel.
on 1 second.
It's the Cubbies. Is Christopher Morel a Cubby?
White Sox.
Oh, my.
I have to say,
I thought he was a
welcome
Cubby.
home to Eddie Caprio. I love Eddie Caprio. Nice to see you in the chat room again. Jeff Trella is here. Let's say, all you guys who support us, that's the biggest thing. The support that we get from some people is incredible. Nobody else in the fantasy industry gets the same support, and we support you. So, you see, you got the phone number, 631-406-7141. You can call us right now on the show, or you can call us anytime if you have a question that's really hot. You got a trade on the line, you got to pick up a player, and you don't know who. Don't be afraid to call.
Okay, we got a question in the chat room. First of all, Christopher Morel is a Cubby, okay?
Oh, he is a Cub.
Now, Rotorius wants to know, Eric Fetty versus Tiedemann. Are you kidding me? There's no chance that I'm even drafting this Tiedemann this year because who the hell knows what he's going to do. Even if he's at full health, which is very questionable, he's still on a limited workload for his innings.
Right.
But you got Eric Fetty, who went over, across the pond to Korea, and he just crushed it over there. He had a 2 ERA, a .97 whip. He's got a crazy ground ball rate. We've seen other pitchers go over there and just start to get a little bit better. His rank and his ADP, Eric Fetty, is 5'10". If this guy goes
5'10".
undrafted in your league, you're not paying attention. He might not look. I'm not telling you to draft this guy as a number 1 starter, number 5 starter. He's a bench guy to start the season, but it is worth a chance on this guy. If he goes undrafted in your leagues, you're not paying attention.
Oh, he's going to get drafted. And Eric Fetty...
Turd brought him to my attention, and I will give Turd all the credit.
He signed a 2-year, $15 million contract with the White Sox. So he'll return to the majors. He did,
He pitches for the White Sox, which sucks. Okay, but his ADP, there's no fooling that this guy is worth a final round pick, no doubt about it. Because he did excellent over in Korea.
And the White Sox are paying him $15 million. Sometimes you take a look at the salary that these guys get, and it tells you something. So apparently he's well liked.
Wait, isn't that minimum wage now?
No, $15 million for 2 years. Okay. So the
Yeah, I
White
thought
Sox.
that's minimum wage.
No, it's not. That's your minimum wage. Okay.
Trevor Bauer will play for $50,000.
Oh, Trevor Bauer. I mean, if anybody wants, 631-406-7141. Call anytime, even if you want to talk about Trevor Bauer. So the White Sox taking a chance on Fetty. And I'll tell you what, the White Sox are a team that a lot of people who liked them last year still like them this year. I like their team. I like Andrew Vaughn at first, Nicky Lopez, Paul DeJong is their shortstop. You got Yohan Moncada at third. I gotta tell you, I like it. Outfield has got plenty with Eloy, Dominic Fletcher, Louis Robert, could be an MVP, Andrew Benintendi. Come on. And they signed Mike Moustakas. So you signed Mike Moustakas.
Yes, Pretorius, right on the money today.
And that tells everybody that you're interested in winning.
All right. Christopher Morel, focusing on third base at the start of camp for the Cubbies. He says and Craig Counsell says it's their job to figure out the best way to deploy his bat to say he can play all the positions, but we have to play them at a certain level. So he's not very good at any of these positions, okay? And they got Nico Horner at second base, and he struggled at every position except for second base. So they're going to deploy him all over the place so they could get his bat in the lineup. But he's only going to qualify in outfield to start the season. He did hit 26 home runs. And like I said, the bat is not the problem. His strikeout rate did improve. He's only 24 years old. His strikeout rate did improve last year.
Why do you have him on the Cubs?
Because that's where he plays.
Wait a second. Take a look again. I know he was on.
Look, right here.
What? That's him.
Now let me finish my sentence.
Christopher Morel, is he a Cub or
He's
a White
been a
Sox?
Cub his whole time.
That's not true.
It is true, Leonard.
Somebody
Please.
help us here. All right, we're asking.
Somebody help you to get the answer you want?
No.
Even though it's not true? He worked on his strikeout rate, but it's still over 30%, okay? So Lenny doesn't believe me.
No, I really don't. And, look, I'm telling you, Chicago Cubs. That's what it is. Okay, but he did play on the White Sox.
No, he didn't.
I know he did, okay? Anyway, let's go. So, Christopher Morel, you still talking about Morel? He would like to... He
hits the ball really hard. He barrels the ball a lot. His biggest problem getting into the lineup is his defense. And right now, the only place that he played defense good was at second base. And the Cubbies have Nico Horner there. So you're drafting this guy at 217 ADP. We don't know for sure that he has the defense to stay. He could be the DH, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, so there you go for that. But look, they want his bat in the lineup, no doubt about it. They're just going to try to find a place where he isn't costing them runs.
And don't forget, we don't talk about Mike Trout for a half hour every day. We talk about as many players as we can so that your preparation for fantasy baseball this year is more complete than any year you've ever played. You will know Christopher Morel. I didn't even know what team he was.
I'll take Fetty over these guys that Malpal is saying.
But I'll tell you, so that's what we try to do, and we hone in. And if you have any questions, 631-406-7141. Big Al at the top of the list once again.
All right, the Kansas City Royals are acquiring John Schreiber from the Red Sox for David Sandlin, right? So the Royals are getting an arm for their bullpen, and the Sox are getting a pitching prospect with strikeout stuff, okay? So Schreiber, he missed nearly 2 months of the season with the shoulder strain. He instantly becomes one of Kansas City's top bullpen guys, and he could get a couple opportunities for saves. Sandlin, on the other hand, was at the single A and high A last season. He had a 3.51 ERA, and he struck out 88 in 66 and 2/3 innings, but he's absolutely not going to be fantasy relevant this year. He will likely return to start the 20...
he'll probably start in AAA or AA, right?
High A, and he is hoping to reach AA in sometime this summer. So you actually have 5 guys projected to hit 20 homers and steal 30 bases this year.
Right. Well, okay. Let me tell you who they are.
Okay.
And then you tell me yes or no. Okay?
Okay.
Ronald Acuna Jr. Yes or no? 20 home runs, 30 stolen bases.
Yes.
Bobby Witt Jr.
Yes.
20 home runs, 30 stolen bases.
Yes.
Now,
I don't know about Corbin Carroll.
Corbin Carroll, I will say no. Now, here's the definition. For those of you who are listening, you've heard the sophomore slump. What does that mean? Methical has returned. Merrill is here. Tommy Johnson is here. What is the sophomore slump? You ready? When a rookie has a great year, he goes home over the winter and comes back raring to go using the same approach that he did when he was a rookie.
Yes.
Same approach.
Right.
Meanwhile, the pitching coaches that are good will take a look
and
at...
the catchers.
Well, mainly the pitching coaches. And let's use Corbin Carroll as an example. So Carroll's going to come back next year and think, I'm not going to change anything. Everything I did was right. But the pitchers will make changes because they know that, that he was so good last year. And in the second year, that's responsible for the sophomore slump. A second-year change in pitching, and many of the sophomores can't adjust quickly. So that's the sophomore slump. So I will say Corbin Carroll, no.
Well, Turd says Corbin Carroll will shatter 2030 if healthy. Now, Leonard Donaldson says if you want to know sophomore slump, look at Jeremy Pena. And good grief, is that ever true? Now Corbin Carroll is... Yes, I think he could shatter that, but I also think that there's a chance. It just depends. Like you said, if these players feel like they've figured out the league and they're going to be as successful as they were their rookie year without doing what it takes to make the adjustments. Everybody's got a hole somewhere in their swing. Everybody. Now, what about Ellie?
But wait a
second.
second.
About Ellie De La Cruz is one of these guys.
If I have Corbin Carroll, I will put him on the market. I'm not saying just trade him. You may get a tremendous amount for Corbin Carroll, and I would really think about it.
But you have to draft him first, and you're going to pay a tremendous amount.
Or if you have him as a keeper. Okay? That's the other thing.
I don't think it's a good idea to tell people to get rid of Corbin Carroll.
I'm not saying get rid of him. Keeper. I'm saying make a trade that will work better for you than Corbin Carroll. Julio Rodriguez, I say yes.
Yes, I do too. What about Ellie?
I say absolutely no.
Why? Which one is he going to be lacking? The 20. This is 20 homers, 30 stolen bases. Ellie did that, dude. He stole 30. I mean, this guy played a third of the season.
I will say the same thing about Ellie. I think as a second year, I think if he doesn't make the adjustments, and many sophomores don't, that he will just have a disappointing year.
He didn't have a great year to end this last year, so chances are good that he worked real hard. Because it wasn't like Corbin Carroll, where Corbin Carroll had a great season the whole time. He finished the season strong. Ellie De La Cruz did not finish the season strong. Maybe that gave him more aspiration to adjust and work hard. Who knows? You just don't know. I think it's an individual basis. Now, Pablo Sandoval has said...
But wait a second. Edmund, see, we have a comment here by by King Turd, adjusting to the speed. But you know what? It's tough. It's really tough because the speed is so good, but he's got to get on base, and the frustrations that Ellie De La Cruz will suffer, I would say, if I have him as a keeper, again, I'm not getting rid of anybody. I am marketing them so I can get the players that I need to win the title. Go ahead.
Pablo Sandoval's coming back.
What?
Big Panda.
He's coming back?
I don't know if he's looking in the best shape of his life again.
I don't know. He's set to reunite. I know he's going to reunite.
I thought he
with
would
the
come back
Giants.
as a manager, dude.
He's expected to join the club on a minor league deal.
His favorite team, the Giants.
Unbelievable.
Non-roster invitation to big league spring training. This guy needs to just put a fork in him, dude. He's got to be done. You can't. I'm sorry.
That's pretty incredible.
Okay, what about Graham Ashcraft? We're talking about a Cincinnati starting pitcher, Graham Ashcraft. He's not 100% following his surgery in September, but he has made significant progress since then. He wants to be in the rotation. So his ADP is 430. I'm totally skipping over this guy. I'm not even paying attention to him.
A lot of people like him. He will be probably in the draft. He will be overpriced, in my opinion.
430 ADP.
He's probably
a
$6 pitcher at best, coming off a nice year. But I'll tell you, he's going to look to cement himself in the Cincinnati rotation. He posted a 4.70 ERA, a 1.3
He doesn't
whip.
strike out enough batters to even worry about.
He'll probably be ready to start spring training, but his toe is not quite 100%. He had surgery in September, but it appears 26 years old.
What do you think of... Go ahead.
So he's looking to cement his spot in the rotation, but I think he's going to go for too much money.
AJ Puck.
Oh, here's somebody that I could probably got more questions about AJ Puck than anybody. Is he going to be a starter, Andy? Is he going to be a closer? What do you think?
Well, he spent the whole offseason preparing to be a starting pitcher, but all 142 of his career appearances in the majors have been as a reliever. So he was drafted as a starter, and he was getting stretched out by Oakland prior to last year, okay? 1 year ago today, they were trying to stretch him out as a starter, but then they sent him to Miami. The Miami Marlins actually have plenty of options as left-handed pitchers in their bullpen, including Tanner Scott and Andrew Nardi. Their rotation will be missing Alcantara, okay, because of his elbow. So it does look like there's a spot for AJ Puck in the rotation. What do you think about that? Is he going to be good he's 28 years old, and he's very much shown problems with his control as a starter, okay? But last year, it was a 5.4% walk rate, along with a 32.2% strikeout rate, all right? But here's the thing. This is all as a reliever. It's really tough to expect this guy to do this as a starting pitcher when all he's ever shown as a starter is control problems.
Yeah, but here's what they got. First of all, Alcantara is out. Max Meyer is out. Jesus Luzardo, and that's Malpal's boy. The rumor mill on Jesus Luzardo is amazing. I would not be surprised, and they have room. Jesus Luzardo would make room for AJ Puck, but Luzardo, in my opinion, is going to be traded. I don't have any information on that. Braxton Garrett's another guy, but Luzardo is on everybody's trade list. Yuri Perez is only going to go maybe 100 innings. Edward Cabrera, in my opinion, is going to be the star of this pitching staff. Trevor Rogers, they got Yoni Chirinos. They are loaded, so the question is, AJ Puck, I got news for you. If he's on his game, he'll be a starting pitcher. As the setup man to Tanner Scott, he's going to be wasted. But still, setup men in Major League Baseball really have quite a value.
Lenny was talking about Evan Phillips, okay? It's definitely the closer situation. I don't know. You look at their depth charts, and it just doesn't, there's not really anybody else there. Blake Trianon is there, but he's out currently. They also have Dinelson Lamet, who could maybe get some saves. Who knows what Dinelson Lamet is ever even good at. But as far as, this is the same thing going into last year. Evan Phillips was the closer. I tried to tell everybody that. Nobody was drafting him. Evan Phillips is currently being drafted 116 overall. he got 24 saves last year with a 2.05 ERA and a .83 WHIP. So it's hard to imagine that he would get fired from the duties when they don't have anybody else. I would say Evan Phillips is the closer.
Evan Phillips, draft Evan Phillips as your closer. Dave Roberts, that's the name, Dave.
They're going to win a shitload of games.
Yeah, Roberts, the manager, has announced that he's the closer. Okay? And also, I'm just looking at Big Al comments. Edward Cabrera is going to have a big year. You know something, Big Al? I agree 100% that Cabrera is going to have a big season.
Shane Baz, 191 ADP. You should skip over this guy for this year. He expects to begin the season in extended spring training before he starts a rehab assignment. So he did throw about 20 pitches in his first bullpen session of spring training on Friday, and he said he felt positive about his work. He spoke to the media, and he suggested that he may not contribute to the big league club until the summer months. So that's it. The team has not announced any formal plan with Shane Baz,
He's
the Tampa Bay Rays.
He's been a hot prospect. He was traded. Look, don't overpay for Shane Baz.
Don't even get him on your team.
If you can get him for $1 and stash him away in your reserves, that's fine.
You're not going to be able to get him for $1.
And here's another guy that so many people just don't know what to make of him. Sean Manaea, the Indiana State pitcher that I follow him. I went to Indiana State, but still, he was busted to a reliever.
Yes.
And it might be the best thing that happened to him.
Yeah.
As a reliever, he developed a new pitch. He tweaked his mechanics and made things appear to be all new, and he became a good pitcher.
In the second half of last year, his ERA was 2 full runs lower than the first half, okay? And he had very similar innings pitched totals. So he didn't have a good 2022. And the first part of 2023 was not good either, which drove his ERA up to 4.44 and his WHIP on the season 1.24. All right, but his ADP is 441. This guy has a spot in the rotation for the Mets. He's number 3 in their rotation. I think he's not being drafted. How can this guy not being drafted? He had a 25.7% strikeout rate, which was just a tiny bit off of his career high. But his walk rate climbed for a third straight year. So I can understand people waiting till later to draft Sean Manaea, but
It just said that he needs a haircut. You ever seen Sean Manaea?
I really like his hair.
His hair is down to his shoulder, or is down to the middle of his back.
It's a big afro.
It's a big one. Okay?
I like it.
But his ERA was a full 2 runs lower in the second half last year. Okay? So
that's all we got.
Well, look, we have a pitcher who had a 3.3 F-WAR, but who fell on hard times in 2022. I would definitely draft Sean Manaea this year. Okay, absolutely draft. Jim Bowden wrote a nice article about the good teams that need help. We're not going to go into it now, but I will tell you one team that I think needs a lot of help, and people are calling them contenders. I would say the New York Yankees. The New York Yankees, in my opinion, they need help. They need pitching. They need everything. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Yankees make out. I just don't think they have enough pitching.
Tommy Johnson, have a great day at church. Have a great day.
All right, everybody have a great day. Let's just say thank you. And it's all about thank you because you give us support. You got Daniel Ferrara, Big Al, Chris Gallo. You got Eddie Caprio. Welcome home, Eddie. You got James Caprion. Happy birthday to James. You got Jeff Trilla. You got Laura, Leonard Donaldson, Malpal, Willie, Merrill.
Good morning to Merrill.
Mythical, Rotorius, Triple Play, like Boston Paul. And then you got SM King Turd. Don't forget, all you guests, go register so we can see your name. That's the only thing. Everybody stay warm. Happy birthday again, James, and we'll see you all tomorrow at 9 o'clock.